everyone, welcome to SJ Weekly for January 6th, 2019. Today I'm not having a caffeinated drink at all. It's actually a smoothie because I'm trying to lose weight and get healthy. So in this smoothie I have protein powder, flaxseed, bananas, avocado, blueberries, kale, and some chocolate almond milk. Quite thick and it's very tasty. It's really hard to swallow too, but it's really good. I hope you guys are enjoying the daily videos. My goal for this channel is to do one video a day at least, like a video or a stream or a something. Most of the time they will be, short videos like 8 to 15 minutes. However, I'm sure you noticed that the 4 days before the MasterCard video came out, there was nothing. And that's because that video just took a lot of time. So if you ever notice that I stopped putting out daily videos, and I haven't told you like I'm going on a vacation or some reason, it's probably because I'm working on something big. But for the most part, I'm going to try to do something every day on this channel. Because hey, the YouTube algorithm likes it too. I want to apologize ahead of time for this article because there's all these cancerous Sims 4 ads on it. Well, I had to turn off my ad blocker to even view it. It wouldn't even let me see it. But this is from VG247, some low-level games journo site. Diversity is important because a video game is much more than its gameplay. The tweet for this article references Battlefield 5, of course, because that is currently the game that absolutely nobody likes due to it being made entirely by diversity hires. Video games are crafted from so many parts, it's difficult to pin down exactly where the game exists. The game's the whole thing? There are no parts of a video game that are not a video game. Interactive entertainment is getting increasingly complex, and the goals of the creators are more varied than ever. Simply being fun often isn't enough. No, that's really the point of it. You may not find the game fun, but the game has to be fun to somebody. It can't not somehow engage you. Like, all forms of entertainment have to either be fun or interesting. I remember years ago when Yahtzee reviewed No More Heroes. He said that a lot of the game mechanics were interesting, but if Suda51 was actually sacrificing fun in order to make some kind of thematic statement, he had his head up his ass. And I completely agree. You can make games that tell a story or have a political arc or have a context or something along these lines that like a lot of SJWs like to do, but you also have to make a fun game. Gone Home is literally just walking through the house and there's not really anything to it. You just walk through a built environment and you inspect things. You can make a game about teenage lesbians, but it has to have gameplay. It has to be fun at some point. Despite this hunger for more diversity within our stories and experiences, there are still people who push back, pining for the days when gameplay was king. You're talking as if these two things can't coexist. Like, for example, you even have this picture here, alright? This picture is from a game that has a fair amount of gameplay in it. There's exploring, there's climbing, there's shooting, there's things that the player can do even though it's about two non-white women. And you know what? It being about two non-white women doesn't really matter. Gameplay will always be king in that regard. Recently, Battlefield 5 came under criticism from some circles for its inclusion of female soldiers. No, it came under criticism from most circles for its inclusion of female soldiers while simultaneously claiming to be historically accurate. If somebody made a World War II game with a bunch of women as soldiers, and then it was like, okay, this is obviously like just our fucking strange take on it, and we're going to be goofy about this, I'm okay with that. But if you're going to claim to be historically accurate, you have to make something that is at least relatively historically accurate. According to those people, the women break the illusion more than an enemy magically spawning on a squad mate. Well, that's because an enemy magically spawning on a squad mate is not a part of the story, it's a part of the gameplay mechanics. Like, at some point, you do have to make some concessions in the fabric of reality of the game in order to make the game play. And usually when it happens, the story does not talk about it. You don't see it happen in cutscenes. None of the characters remark on it because it is a gameplay mechanic. Women want to feel represented in their hobby. It gives them more enjoyment than playing as a man. Is this the truth? Because, whenever I play a game, I don't really care much about what I play as. And of course, it seems like this article was written by somebody who's a man and therefore would not really know how women feel about playing as male or female avatars. Unless Kirk is a gender-neutral name, but I don't think it is. And actually, he addresses this right here. One argument is that story and gameplay are two separate entities. Well, they are. Interestingly, having women soldiers in Battlefield 5 is viewed by some as a story choice. That's because it is. I mean, they don't impact the gameplay, they're just an avatar. In a multiplayer mode, if there were just female soldiers you could play as, that you could just drop into like a 4-player deathmatch or something, or an online mode, I don't really care about that. But if you're claiming to be writing a historically accurate story for single-player mode, it has to be historically accurate, which means that women were not on the World War II battlefield. There is no other way to view that. I mean, if you want to tell a World War II story and have women involved, you could do something like Valkyria Chronicles did. It's a fantasy universe with around a World War II era level of technology, as far as I can tell, and they have women fighting, because that's how that universe runs. There's no onus on it to be historically accurate because it's its own story. Let's move on to academics' mobbing of a young scholar must be denounced. The latest victim of an academic mobbing is a 28-year-old social scientist, Noah Carl, who has been awarded a Toby Jackman Newton Trust Research Fellowship at St. Edmund's College at the University of Cambridge. Rarely has the power asymmetry between the academic mob and its victim been so stark. Dr. Carl is a young researcher, just starting out his career, who is being mobbed for being awarded a prestigious research scholarship on the basis of his peer-reviewed research. People are angry that this guy I haven't heard about this story before, guys. Are people angry that this guy got like an opportunity? While getting a position like this is normally a time for celebration for junior academics, Dr. Carl has gone to ground, unable to defend his reputation from libelous attacks. What's going on here? 300 academics from around the world, many of them professors, have signed an open letter denouncing Dr. Carl and demanding that the university immediately conduct an investigation into the appointment process, on the grounds that his work is ethically suspect and methodologically flawed. The letter states, "We are shocked that a body of work that includes vital errors in data analysis and interpretation appears to have been taken seriously." The letter contains no evidence of any academic misconduct, and it does not include a single reference to any of Dr. Carl's papers. Hold on. What is this? Open letter for racist pseudo... No place for racist pseudoscience at Cambridge. Did he do something racist, or is this just a witch hunt? We write to express our dismay at the appointment of Noah Carl. Careful consideration of his published work and public stance on various issues, particularly on the claimed relationship between race, criminality, and genetic intelligence, leads us to conclude that his work is ethically suspect and methodologically flawed. Is there any evidence... Okay, there's a bunch of professors who don't want him to do it, but is there any evidence that what he's doing is factually incorrect? We call on the college, the university, and the Newton Trust to issue a public statement disassociating themselves from research that seeks to establish correlations between race, genes, intelligence, and criminality in order to explain one by the other. I don't think any of these groups are going out with the express objective of trying to establish a correlation between race, genes, intelligence, and criminality. I think they just want to investigate the issue impartially. And if that's the problem, if the problem is that he wants to look into it eyes open, I think you guys are wrong. Obviously wrong. It's almost like you're putting the cart before the horse when you want to completely bar this type of research. Dr. Carl's crime is that he has defended intelligence researchers who have written about the taboo topics of race, genes, and IQ, and argued that stifling debate in these areas is likely to cause more harm than allowing them to be freely discussed by academics. Yeah, I mean, if it's politically inconvenient that the science may show a link between race, genes, and IQ, and that sucks, I guess, but the truth is still incontrovertible. If that's what the truth is, I don't know, I'm not a scientist. But censoring people who want to conduct impartial research into these forbidden taboo topics is not the way to go. One of the people who signed that letter, Professor Graeber, did not specify a single research paper by Dr. Carl that includes any of the aforementioned concepts, let alone all three. And we couldn't find any instances in Dr. Carl's academic writing of his using the term genetic intelligence. The implication of Professor Graeber's response, as well as the letter, is that Dr. Carl has linked average differences in intelligence between races to genetic differences, when in fact he has stated that a genetic contribution to racial gaps in IQ has not been conclusively demonstrated. It sounds like they just don't want him to talk about it at all, even if he's agreeing with them. Perhaps Professor Graeber is confusing references in Dr. Carl's work to the fact that the individual differences in IQ are genetically influenced, although not genetically determined, with claims about group differences being genetically influenced. The second would be controversial, but the first is one of the most robust, oft-replicated findings in all of psychology. So it sounds like Dr. Carl is saying something that equates to one of the most robust, oft-replicated findings in all of psychology, and yet it is also very easily confused with something controversial, and so as a way to smear him, these people are just saying that he's controversial. This is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Let's stay on campus for a little bit longer. Exeter University expels students over racism. This looks somewhat familiar. Have I done this article before? I don't know. University launched investigation after allegations of racism, sexism, and homophobia, of course. Several students at the University of Exeter have been expelled following allegations of yes. If you ain't English, go home, bomb the mosques, and we need a race war. It sounds like they're just being edgy shitlords. A student created the Dodgy Blokes Society WhatsApp group last summer for use by a small group of students attached to the Bracton Law Society. But its content became increasingly racist and deplorable over time, and he began to document the worst examples. Among them, he said, were cases in which students backed a policy of racial discrimination and joked about buying slaves from African countries. Okay, there comes a time when people say something so outlandish, so ridiculous, that either you're truly living in a society degrading into tyranny, or alternatively, it's a fucking joke. And I guess people on the far left think that it's the former, but I'm pretty sure it's the latter. These incidents are happening all the time, but they are not visible. There will be other group chats and other incidents of intimidation, but we will not always see the prejudice. Is that a complaint? Are you complaining that the relevant authorities cannot look into every single private chat room on the internet? Do you want them to start listening to your phone conversations as well? It was reported that 5 students were initially suspended from the university over the incident, but Exeter refuses to say how many had been expelled, suspended, or subjected to another form of sanction. So hold on. This university suspended 5 people for what they said on an app in a private room so far off campus because it's the fucking internet. It's so fucking ridiculous, man. Like what you say in private should not be used to publicly punish you. Like it's so fucking awful. Presumably these people aren't actually buying slaves from Africa or actually committing gang rape. So it's fucking terrible, man. But I have the cure for all of this. A vaccine. Let's watch this video, eh?
What High Resolves is doing is inoculating people against hatred. What it's doing is giving them capabilities to build a better future. The secret sauce of High Resolves is creating activities where young people get to make some kind of moral choice, and then getting them to reflect on that choice. You then have to do some repeated practice in the classroom so that it moves from working memory to long-term memory. What if you could inoculate a critical mass of a society?
Okay, so I was actually scared that they were going to start drugging people to make them more compliant when it comes to ridiculous nonsense that happens around them. We've already seen some insane stories, like people wanting to put laudanum in the water supply and just like complete nut jobs like that, putting magnets in your fucking brain. So a vaccine wouldn't actually be out of the question. There just seems to be this preoccupation with altering human biology to make it more social justice compliant, and it's just nightmare fuel, man. But at least that's not what we're talking about here. This is just basically okay, expose people to situations where maybe their beliefs and views can be challenged. So okay, fine, that's what happens all the time. However, I have a feeling that when they say hatred and prejudice, they don't actually mean hatred and prejudice. They mean, making people more accepting to mass migration, open borders, the complete destruction of job markets, and lowering of wages. All because if you object, then you're a racist, obviously. Anyway, that's the end for me today, guys. I know that this is short. Honestly, the SJ Weeklies might be a little bit shorter than normal for a while, just due to the demand of simultaneously making short everyday videos and occasionally making some longer bombshell ones. Nonetheless, though, I will see you guys tomorrow. I love you.